Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, everybody at home. I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. There's a big game this afternoon, Manchester City versus Arsenal. Don't know who I want to win. But anyway, let's get straight into the questions. As you can see, Christopher Hamill has been replaced by a very smart-looking Dave Jackson. Preppy Dave Jackson today. And Patrick Van Straten, who forgot his iron this morning, came in nevertheless.
Why would I bring my iron?
What a trooper. Right, well, you guys have been sending in your questions all week, so let's kick it straight off. First one from Haz Meadster. He says, if you could merge two leagues together, what two leagues would you choose and why? Hashtag Sunday Vibes. Dave Jackson, you're looking keen in the corner.
Okay, I'm thinking you go Premier League and the MLS. I'm going
Nonsense.
Shut up. I'm going straight for the Yankee dollar. Can you imagine money, right? If at the moment, like I think Sky brought half the Premier League rights just in England for about 11 billion quid, right? The worldwide rights to that Super League, it's ridiculous.
Seriously, how would they fly? How would Manchester United
who cares?
Toronto?
Ideas, man. Don't make him do the logistics. Don't make him do the admin.
But the thing is, there will definitely be a European NFL team in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's definitely happening.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the really smart things Spurs have done is they've actually built an NFL kind of like pitch underneath that new Spurs ground, which is Thunderbirds thing. Which you know, if you think like from like a financial point of view, that is extremely
little
smart
FD
thing.
exclusive there. Probably not exclusive. Been reported by loads of major league outlets. But Patrick Van Straten, what are you saying?
Oh God. I mean, it'd be tempting to merge someone like La Liga with like the Australian league.
Just nonsense.
Well,
that's rubbish.
Well, no. Okay, you complain about like Spanish teams' dominance in the Champions League,
Yeah,
but if they're flying 24 hours twice a week to go and play, you know, Melbourne City, then they're not going to be great in the Champions League.
True.
Put it that way. But I don't know, probably like just La Liga and the Bundesliga. I just think.
Really?
I don't think that the big teams in La Liga really get tested, and I think the quality of coaching in the Bundesliga is really, really good, and I think it'd be exciting to see those two things.
That's a logical answer
to
the question. My illogical answer is the La Liga with League Two.
Ooh.
Ooh,
classic Tomlinson shout.
Could you imagine?
Why not with the conference then?
The conference isn't good enough.
But League Two.
League Two is.
You just want to be able to go home to Exeter on holiday and be able to watch Messi play against Ethan Ampadu.
Partly true. I also want La Liga teams to be struggling more in the Champions League than they do at the moment. I think 80 games a season against La Liga, against League Two opposition, kicking shit out of them.
Yeah, but surely the quality would rise. That's why.
No, it wouldn't rise.
They get more money. They get more money.
No, this is the thing, that's why it's maybe one season out of 25 that an underdog actually wins the FA Cup, because the quality always shines through now. Are we still going to give them like a winter break? Because obviously
they're not having a winter break, and they can fuck the Champions League too. But that's what I'd like to see. But what would you like to see? Let us know in the comments below. Next question then comes from Tommy Bob Dog. Not the first time he's had a question featured on this show. If you want to get a question featured, you can tweet us, you can Facebook us, Snapchat us, or just comment below. His question is, which is the best match you've ever watched live in a stadium?
Great question.
Ooh. Now, Patrick Van Straten, I think your answer is going to be the same as mine.
I imagine so.
So you may as well go first.
Man City 0, Barcelona 4 at the Camp Nou.
Incredible. This year we went, didn't we?
Unbelievable. And we saw Messi, Suarez, Neymar, Busquets, De Bruyne, Aguero. Like, how many of the best players in the world, and actually at least one or two of the best players of all time, we saw play in that game. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah, I would agree with Pato. That's the best game I've ever watched live as well. Dave Jackson, what are you saying?
16th of February 2011.
Oh my God.
Emirates Stadium. Arsenal against Barcelona. We go one goal down pretty early on. Very late on, my man Robin Van Persie pops up with an absolute worldie, the impossible angle. Yeah. It was like he should never have been able to score that goal. Pings it in, past, what's his name, the fellow who's at Middlesbrough now, Victor Valdez. He's got no chance. And then my man Andre Arshavin, the big game player,
the ultimate
steps up with a lovely cutback from the Sammy the Snake Nasri. Straight Arsenal, he's just pinged it. And say what you want about Arsenal, we don't exactly have the best fans or the best atmosphere, but that night, it was absolutely ridiculous. I've still got my flag that I still actually look at every like morning when I'm getting ready.
Was that the first leg?
That was the first leg. The second leg didn't quite go to plan.
That Fabregas pass as well is one of my favourite ones of all time. Where he just turns, he doesn't even look, he just hits it outside the boot into the channel for Nasri. Filth, mate.
But yeah, that was the greatest game I've ever been to.
That's a great shout.
Nice answer. Laser Tango.
Ooh, great name.
Sounds like a Jason Bourne villain.
Does he?
Not really, but I just liked it. He says, who's the best team that haven't won the Champions League? Now, Dave Jackson is predictable, mate, for you. It was predictable, isn't it?
What?
You're going to say Arsenal, aren't you?
I'm going to say the Arsenal 04 team. How that team didn't just... We hadn't lost to Chelsea in about 15 years.
Yeah.
And then we'd done the hard work in the first leg. We got our goalless draw. And then we go to Highbury. All we had to do was just see the game. We took the bloody lead in the game. Again, I was having this discussion with a friend yesterday. Like, we've never actually replaced Patrick Vieira. And I think the fact that he's never won the Champions League as well is absolutely criminal.
He never won at Juventus either.
Oh
my good God! What about you, Van Straten?
Oh God, it's
toughie.
It's a toughie. I mean, I would have liked.
We're just going Champions League era here, by the way. European Cups aside.
Well, I think the Atletico Madrid of the last couple of years is probably, and also that Klopp Dortmund team that lost in the final.
Yeah, they were awesome.
They were so good to watch. When they smashed Real Madrid 4-1 at the Westfalenstadion, it was amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you, Van Straten. I think that Atletico Madrid team of the first time they were in the final was it 13-14 when Sergio Ramos scored the last-minute header. That was their best chance they'll ever have to win a Champions League. They'd already
Diego Costa went off after like 10 minutes, didn't he?
He did, of course. And they'd already taken home La Liga. You were thinking, this is ridiculous. If they can beat Real Madrid on both fronts, Barcelona on both fronts, it is one of the most ridiculous achievements in football history for Simeone.
This summer they went all out to win. You know, like they bought a 28-year-old winger in Gaetan. They bought a 29-year-old striker in Gamero. Those are the kind of moves you make if you're like, we go all out for this year. This is the year that we go for it. And it just hasn't quite come off, even though they were incredible through the first, 8 or 9 games. Incredibly
hard team to break down as well when they want to. When they've got that ironclad defensive structure that Simeone's put in place, they're so hard to break down, especially over 2 legs. If they don't want you to score a goal, you won't score a goal. Seriously though. But do you think it's Arsenal or do you think it's Atletico Madrid? 2004 or 2013-14? You can vote in the poll right now. Next question comes from Mathuthu Oki, as how Harry Kane would say it. I think it's actually pronounced Matutu. Patrick Van Straten has told me it's a South African name.
No, I haven't.
This is an interesting one. He says, which player in the current England squad would get into big European teams, aka Barca, Bayern and Real? So firstly, which English player would get into that Bayern Munich team?
No one.
I actually agree. I don't think a single English player would get into that Bayern Munich team. What about Barcelona though? There's some interesting shout-outs because I feel like the right-back position is slightly weak here.
I think Kyle Walker would really suit Barcelona. Because when we talk about these teams, that people always say, "Oh, are you saying so-and-so's good enough for Barcelona?" But it's not necessarily a case of being like amazing. It's a case of being a good fit.
Yeah.
And Kyle Walker he's so quick, he's so dynamic, he's so strong. I think he'd actually really suit them as a right-back. He motors up and down that wing, never gets tired.
What about Jonathan Stones?
No chance.
No?
He's been completely found out.
You think so?
You think so?
I think he's been written off way too early for a 21-year-old. What about for Real Madrid? Now, Real Madrid, potentially I'm looking at Casemiro here for Eric Dyer. You never know, a bit of an interesting swap.
I still can't see an English player getting into that Real Madrid team.
In the first 11.
Yeah. This question is interesting because really we're so far. It proves how far off we are.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like even over the last, I'd say my kind of like generation of footballers. Like you always had a player like Ashley Cole who was world class regardless. You had a player like Steven Gerrard that would get into most teams. You'd have a player like Frank Lampard.
Paul Scholes.
Yeah, but you look at that England first 11 now, or even the squad. There's no quality.
England fans are so critical. I actually think this is the best squad you've had for a while. Like, look how these players have been under good coaches. I think the main problem at the Euros is that Roy Hodgson is a fucking terrible manager.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
If you put a high quality coach in charge of that England side, you do have a lot of quality there. Look at what Conte was able to achieve within that Italian squad. Now that Italian squad, except for its back line, way below the level of the England squad. Way below. I do think that there's a lot of talent there.
But is Gareth Southgate the right man to lead us forward? Let us know in the comments below, because he's fucking not. Next question comes straight out of Albert Square. Alfie, he says, which league do you think will rise to prominence in the next few years? Now, I know you've got a pretty strong feel on this, Dave Jackson, haven't you? Do you want to tell the people at home?
I believe that the rich will get richer and the poor will stay poor. So the positions that the current European Super Leagues are now, they will stay like that, unless someone comes in with a load of bunts and goes, okay, I'm going to start my own Super League.
Yeah, true.
So the fact, and again, with like money, you can do anything, as Donald Trump has shown.
Ooh,
so there you go.
Little political angle there. What about you, Pato? What do you think?
I think Serie A has kind of sunk in the last kind of like 10 years.
Risen.
yet. But I think that they're going to come back now. I mean, Inter have got new owners, AC Milan have got new owners, somebody have got to buy Roma, if Roma will sell, actually. I don't know, there's going to be more investment there. They will start to attract great players again, because also there are players who grew up, specifically in South America, grew up hearing still about AC Milan and Inter Milan. They were such huge teams when we were young.
I'm going to say the Bundesliga. I think the average standard of Bundesliga teams is getting so strong now. I know the Premier League is strong throughout, but the Bundesliga in terms of technical ability is incredible at the moment.
Yeah, and entertaining.
Exactly, it's so entertaining to watch. You look at the likes of RB Leipzig now coming up with massive money.
Yeah.
Like money to challenge Bayern Munich. They're up there alongside Bayern Munich now at the top of the league. Bundesliga for me, I think.
And more attendance than any other league.
Exactly.
So they've got a huge fan base. They just need to find a way to monetize that. And there's got to be somebody who's looking at that league and seeing that there are mid-table clubs who have a higher average attendance than Liverpool do.
Exactly.
And thinking, right, there's money in this for me.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said, I think the best coaches in the world, other than the top tier coaches, which all seem to have pulled in the Premier League for 2 or 3 seasons at the moment, the rest of them all seem to be in the Bundesliga. VJ Reddy has our next question. He says, even after spending hundreds of millions of pounds and bringing in all the great managers, why are English teams still struggling in Europe? Dave Jackson, what do you think? Why?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Fundamentally, we're not good enough. You know what I mean? I think Paul Pogba was the first player in about 5 or 6 years that we have been able to attract over Barcelona or Real Madrid. That needs to change. Like we only got Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil because then 2 clubs no longer wanted them.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of other issues as well. Like I feel that there's and I'll keep going on about money, but it's like the very fact that Spurs chose to play at Wembley. I know they had to because they had to evolve their whole brand, as it were. Because they kind of have to build this new stadium. It's actually for essentially financial reasons. In the Champions League, you have to win your 3 home games and then just pick them a point away from home and you are through.
Yeah,
as Leicester shown.
I'm not so sure about the money issue. I think that superstar players have gone out of the league. I don't think the Premier League has superstar players anymore. I think maybe your class, your Agueros, your Ozils, Sanchez's, even your De Gea's is the second tier superstar. David De Gea wanted to leave the league, didn't he? It became very close. Cristiano Ronaldo gone out of the league. Even your likes of Thierry Henry back in the day gone out of the league. I think that
after his peak though.
Yeah, I think we've run out of superstars in the Premier League. I don't think we have them anymore. I don't think we own them anymore. I think that's the problem.
I think that's a simple way of looking at it though. I mean, firstly, I kind of reject the hypothesis that the English clubs have been bad this season. Leicester out of their group, City are out of their group, Arsenal out of their group. Tottenham kind of made a mistake. You've spoken about this, how they played their games at Wembley. And Alex Ferguson gave a talk to the Ryder Cup team a couple of years ago, where he showed them 2 kind of form tables for different teams. This team takes 2.5 points a game. This takes 1.5. This team scores 3 goals a game. This team scores 1. And he said this is United at home and this is United away. And Spurs gave up their home advantage essentially by going to Wembley. So I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation, and I do think that gap between the teams that have all the star players and the teams that only have a lot of very good players can be bridged.
But what do you guys at home think? How do English teams get to that next stage in the Champions League? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Our next question comes from Twitter. If you want to send in your Twitter questions, hit us up on Football Daily UK. That's the handle over there. This one comes from SD Peterson. He says, which player in which year had the greatest individual performance for their club? I'm going to rule out Lionel Messi's 92-goal season. That's ridiculous. Obviously, that's unbeatable. So what do you reckon? I'm going to rule that out. Patrick Van Straten, what are you saying?
Oh, God, well, the temptation is that last Suarez season or something.
That's a great shout.
But actually, no, I'm gonna go for Thierry Henry season, and it's the season where we didn't win the league. It was 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
Whenever people talk about the assist record in the Premier League, 20 assists in a season, Henry did it that year. He also scored 24 goals that season.
Fuck.
He missed out on top scorer by 1 goal to Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Another Arsenal player for you, Jackson. What do you say?
It's a little bit left field, right? I'm gonna set the tone. I'm gonna set out the mood. All right. 2012. All right. We've just lost our definitely our captain and our best player, Cesc Fabregas. That snake had fucked off to Manchester in Sami Nasri, right? And we were absolutely in pieces. We'd just been smashed 8-2 by Manchester United, then stepped forward. Shut up.
Shut your mouth.
and step forward Mr. Robin Van Persie. Like, that season, he was absolutely ridiculous. Without him, I dread to think where he would have finished. I think it would have been bottom table. So Robin Van Persie, even though I dislike him personally, I have an awful lot of respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, the next season, that's almost a shout of one of mine, that Robin Van Persie's first season at United. I mean, that's not too,
awesome.
not too bad.
Oh,
he literally
phenomenal.
won us the league, because the season before we lost, obviously, on goal difference, but he literally won us that league title. But I'm going to say Cristiano Ronaldo in the 08 season that we won the Champions League and the Premier League and should have won the FA Cup. There should have been a treble for Manchester United there. It was there for the taking. We took our foot off the boil, but Cristiano Ronaldo, 42 goals, I think it was, for Manchester United and England. That is ridiculous. 42 goals in English football. CR7 in that 08 season was absolutely mind-blowing. But which one of the three was the best? Van Persie, Thierry Henry, or Cristiano Ronaldo? You can vote in the poll right now. Our final question comes from SawMask12, and he says, out of the people in the Football Daily office, in a five-a-side team, who would play where and why? Interesting question. Goalkeeper. Now, there's only one option because we've only got one goalkeeper. It's Zach Jalab. Yeah. You haven't seen much of him, but he was the bloke who got pied in the face on VFN. And he's also been in a couple of stat wars. Big curly-haired Algerian fella.
Hodor. He's about 7 foot tall.
7 foot tall, yeah.
Put him between the sticks, nothing gets in.
Yeah, he's sticking between the sticks. He flops over.
You've got to play sweeper. You're the most violent player. You're kind of all-action defender.
Stick me at the back. I will crack a few ankles.
I feel that Patrick Van Straaten is our playmaker, mate. He's
sits in front in the Busquets role and just distributes. Xabi Alonso just distributes.
Don't want to brag.
Dave Jackson runs around like a headless chicken, left wing.
Box to box.
Mate, I'll play anywhere, mate.
Left-footed, obviously, Dave is.
Maybe cuts in from the right.
I would say
bangs it top
stick him out here, and then you just say, Dave, just do the running, mate. Do a bit of a Jordan Henderson role, a left-footed Jordan Henderson.
Slightly insulting to my ability.
Chris Hamill.
Hamill can play on the other wing. Hamill's our utility man, or he can play as a forward. You know, he can do a job anywhere. He's quite versatile.
Him and Dave, they just motion. Me and you at the back.
He's our Milner.
And then obviously John Babb manages.
Yeah.
John Babb behind a clipboard.
We all ignore him.
He refuses to play football because he won't take his jeans off. The man's never been seen in shorts.
Yeah.
Some suspect it doesn't actually have legs. They're just two sticks of wood.
It's true.
Yeah. It is true, but he would be good with a clipboard, so don't discount John Babb's tactical ability.
Is that because of the glasses?
Yeah, mainly because
of the glasses.
That's a wrap! That's how you should end it.
So that's all we've got time for on today's Sunday Vibes. Thank you very much for your questions. If you've got questions for next week's show, send them in the comments now. Send them to our Twitter, our Facebook, our Snapchat. Thanks very much to Dave for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Joseph.
No worries. Thanks very much to Patrick Van Straaten as ever. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.